of it before, have all these weird letters. What is this? But once you just sit down, look at it, do it, submit, then you're like, oh, well, that wasn't even that bad.
The thing is, FAFSA, it used to be this long paper form. Maybe some listeners remember. Now it's totally online. They even have a mobile app. And, one thing I think that's really important is in some places, the pot is limited. So the earlier you do this, the better.
I remember that form, or at least my mom does. NPR Higher Ed reporter Alyssa Nadworny, thanks so much.
You bet.
Time now for StoryCorps, where people sit down to have a conversation with a loved one. Today we hear from Mary Clark and her friend Ron Gibson. They recently reunited after nearly 30 years. They first met back in 1991 and struck up a romance.
When it started, it was like a spark from a sparkler. It was white hot heat, but it quickly dimmed because, a sparkler doesn't last very long. So how did you feel when we reconnected?
Well, God knows I've changed a lot. Back then, I had the body, I had the muscles. Now I'm barely one leg, one half of a heart.
I sent you a picture of me because up to that point, you hadn't seen me in 20 plus years.
27.
Well, yes.
And your smile was still there.
I remember you responded, "You look good." And I said, "Well, you don't need to tell me that. I know that."
And we briefly got together, which was a test that I think at least I failed miserably in. You're nodding your head yes.
I know there are times when I laugh about things that probably get on your nerves, but also there's some days I don't like you, Ron.
So why are you putting up with me?
There's certainly the connection of the heart that I will never regret. You have a place in my life. Did it turn out the way that you or I thought it would? No, it didn't.
At least I've never asked you to marry me.
You asked me several times. You fall in love so quick you don't even know what to do. 5 marriages, Ron? Come on.
4.
Well, that probably wasn't what we needed anyway. What is still true to this day is that you were the love of my life. And I don't know why that is. I don't know where those words come from because I've never used it for anyone else.
I've known people to say, you're the love of my life. And then I turned the page and, chapter 10, the end. When you said it, I knew I was.
I'm grateful for just knowing that we do have that ultimate respect for each other. And that's more important than anything to me.
Major support for StoryCorps comes from Morgan Stanley, a proud sponsor of StoryCorps. Morgan Stanley is committed to giving back and to fostering meaningful dialogue among people and communities. More at morganstanley.com. And from Subaru. Subaru has donated more than $30 million to support the adoption, rescue, transport, and health of more than 250,000 animals. Learn more at subaru.com/pets.
This is NPR News. Support for Nevada Public Radio comes from the Howard Hughes Corporation, developer of the Summerlin Master Plan community, and its urban core of downtown Summerlin, proud sponsor of the PGA Tour FedEx Cup 2021 Shriners Children's Open at TPC Summerlin, October 4th through 10th. Information at shrinerschildren'sopen.com. Nevada Public Radio is seeking qualified candidates for employment opportunities. For a list of open positions in the business development, member development, and website coordination departments, visit nevadapublicradio.org. I'm Rick Andrews. Thanks for being with us on this Friday morning. This is KNPR and knpr.org. It's 7:30.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. The House is getting back to work today on two crucial pieces of President Biden's economic agenda. Moderate Democrats are pushing for a vote on a roughly $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Republican Congressman Fred Upton says the bipartisan measure needs to move forward.
I hope we get there, and there's added more pressure today in that the funding for the Department of Transportation for highway projects, which is fueled by the gas tax, now expired at midnight as well. So these projects slowly will have real issues unless we get that done.
A group of progressive Democrats is threatening to vote against the bipartisan bill if the House doesn't first take up a much larger spending package. It's been more than a month since the Taliban overthrew the government in Afghanistan. The takeover prompted concerns that the militant group would roll back the rights of women. NPR's John Ruwitch reports the Taliban had promised equality between men and women, but that doesn't appear to be the case.
For the past 20 years, really, women's place in society has changed pretty drastically in Afghanistan. They were in classrooms teaching, in government, media, civil society. There were women involved in the last government's negotiations with the Taliban even, but day by day, it seems like that is all being slowly rolled back.
This is NPR News. Drug maker Merck says its experimental COVID-19 pill reduced hospitalizations and deaths by half in people recently infected with the coronavirus. The company says it plans to seek authorization from federal health officials. If approved, the drug would be the first pill shown to treat COVID-19, a major advance in efforts to fight the pandemic. The National School Boards Association is asking for federal law enforcement to help protect school leaders from a wave of violence and threats. NPR's Anya Kamenetz reports that people who oppose mask mandates and other protesters are disrupting school board meetings nationwide.
Hate mail, Nazi salutes, and death threats are driving school board members to resign. In a new letter, school boards are asking President Biden to intervene. They want to protect local educators and school children from coordinated opposition that they say could rise to the level of domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Most of the protesters are opposed to mask and vaccine requirements. Others are angry about how race is taught in schools and policies toward LGBTQ students. Anya Kamenetz, NPR News.
Stocks are trading mixed on Wall Street at this hour. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 4 points. The Nasdaq down 112. The S&P down 13 points. I'm Windsor Johnston, NPR News in Washington.
I'm Rick Andrews, KNPR News. The Nevada Supreme Court says a Salvadoran immigrant accused of killing 4 people during a string of crimes in 2019 must be tried separately in both counties where the slayings took place. Prosecutors argued that Wilber Ernesto Martinez Guzman should be tried for all 4 killings in Washoe County, where a grand jury indicted him on 4 murder and 5 burglary charges. But justices yesterday agreed with Martinez's public defenders that he's entitled to 2 separate trials because the grand jury in Washoe County lacked proper jurisdiction to indict him for crimes in Douglas County. He's accused of killing a Reno couple and 2 women in rural Gardnerville. The high today in Las Vegas near 85, getting up to about 88 on Saturday. You can find more of the day's news at knpr.org.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from C3AI. C3AI software enables organizations to use artificial intelligence at enterprise scale, solving previously unsolvable problems. C3AI. This is Enterprise AI. From Procter & Gamble, maker of Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive is designed to reduce occasional nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort in hands or feet. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And from the Annie E. Casey Foundation.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Noel King in Washington, D.C.
And I'm A. Martinez in Culver City, California. We have an NPR exclusive. That troubled student debt relief program for teachers, police officers, and other public servants is going to get a major revision. Sources tell NPR that